flaws that most people couldn't see and the humanity they wouldn't recognize. He wanted to be seen not just as a player, but as a man.
He would do these superhuman things at times during games that only a guy that needed to win, I mean down deep in his guts, needed to win, would do.
Bill Russell was born in Monroe, Louisiana in 1934. As a young boy, he was smart and unusually sensitive to the world of the Old South.
I am the blockade on the ball caught in your hand.
At the age of 9, Russell and his family left Louisiana and became part of the great black migration to the north and to the west. The long train ride to Oakland, California made a big impression on the young Russell, whose lifelong fondness for trains was linked to a sense of possibility stirred by his journey out of the South. In Oakland, Russell saw basketball as a way to move on up to a better life. As a senior, he impressed local scouts who offered him a scholarship at the University of San Francisco, where the team was known as the Dons.
Devil or angel, I can't make up my mind which one you are.
The University of San Francisco in the early 50s was not a big basketball power or program. They didn't have their own gym. They were called the Homeless Dons. And Russell's scholarship was not a great deal. He had to wash dishes and work in the cafeteria and have a job while he was there. So they were not a perennial power by any means when he walked on the campus.
Russell quickly adapted to college life. As a star basketball player, he was idolized on campus. It was a heady time. Then the team took their first trip down south to Louisiana. Number 4 on the USF team was Casey Jones.
One player on the team had never been south, Gene Brown, raised in San Francisco. And we're having fun with this, the blacks and white players. We're having fun with the slave thing, with the sit in the back of the bus thing, and we were laughing and joking about it. But as soon as the plane landed in New Orleans, and we stepped off the plane into the lobby, all of a sudden this great cloud came down and this frown came on the black players' faces. These signs up there, whites only, blacks only, the water fountains. Gene Brown had to go to the restroom. He came back crying because he saw the signs up there. We were upset about this atmosphere of you're less than a human being. We stepped on the court that night, and you saw this scowl on Bill Russell's face, which indicated to everyone else that, okay, so this is what it's about. We are going to tear this team apart. And we went out and just murdered the other team about 20, 25, 30 points.
No one had ever seen a player like Bill Russell before. He was a big man who ran. His defense was so good, it became an offensive weapon. Though his shot was gawky, he was so fast and so smart, he was still a big scorer.
You remember the chief with Jack Nicholson and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and Nicholson would station this gigantic Indian man down beneath the basket and say, Chief, catch the ball, put the ball in the basket. That's the way the game was played, and you had these behemoth guys under the basket. They weren't very mobile. It didn't matter. They were taller than everybody else and could score. Russell comes in, and a guy who was also tall, who's very mobile, very quick, and he changes their shots. Their shots are blocked all of a sudden. These guys are surprised. This man's blocking their shots.
You block shots, you get the rebound, then behind that comes a fast break. And that first time I was involved in a fast break was at USF.
After one early loss in his junior year, Russell made sure that the Dons never lost again. They won 55 games in a row and 2 national championships. At the end of his senior year, Russell's extraordinary success led to speculation. What pro team would he play for?
The Harlem Globetrotters cutting keepers in Madison Square Garden. A little wizardry in the pregame workout.
At a time when the NBA was mostly white, a novelty team called the Harlem Globetrotters drew many of the most talented black college players. Though the Globetrotters made Russell a good offer, he wasn't sure he wanted to play the clown.
Bill was insulted by the fact that the general manager of the Harlem Globetrotters chose not to speak to Russell himself. He talked to his coach. And Bill found this very insulting, and that was it.
Red Auerbach, the coach of the Boston Celtics, respected Russell's intelligence. He signed him because he saw what others did not. Russell was a new kind of player for a new kind of game. At the time, the Celtics had a great ball handler named Bob Cousy. They had a good outside shooter named Tom Heinsohn. But they needed somebody to get them the ball, to play defense and rebound. The missing piece was Bill Russell.
Jim Daddy to the rescue. Jim Daddy to the rescue. Jim Daddy to the rescue. Go, Jim Daddy. Go, Jim Daddy.
Complemented the skills that we had in place completely. He added a dimension to the game, shot blocking that had never been witnessed before. At 6'9.5" or whatever, he was literally as quick as a cat. And he caught everyone by surprise, the entire basketball world, the NBA, the Celtics. And as I say, the result was, 11 championships in 13 years.
Go, Jim Daddy.
He was one of the greatest competitors, maybe the greatest competitor I ever saw play. For whatever psychological reason, he needed to be the best. He would actually get physically ill before ball games. That's how important in his life playing a basketball game was.
Russell would vomit before the big games, and that was the deal, that they couldn't go out of the locker room until Bill had done his thing over in the stall.
Some felt that Russell didn't really enjoy the game. For him, it was a mission, a way to release a deep rage within.
I think the source of the anger is the racial issue, the disrespect shown human beings because of their color. And he just has total disdain for civilization being in this mode. I mean, not respecting a person for being a human being.
In cities like St. Louis, which were still segregated, where they couldn't get service in a coffee shop, and where there were a lot of racial taunts when he played, he always played his best.
As it happened, the Celtics met the St. Louis Hawks for the title in Russell's first year. For Russell, it was an opportunity to prove something to St. Louis and the country. The series came down to a seventh and final game. With only a few seconds remaining, one of the Hawks streaked all alone toward the basket to win the game when Russell performed a superhuman feat.
Russell went by me like I was standing still. He ran the length of the court faster than they could make one long pass and one dribble to the basket. Russell blocked the shot.
Russell finished with 32 rebounds and 5 blocked shots. In the celebration afterwards, teammates shaved off Russell's goatee.
He was a very rare athlete, where his stats didn't mean anything. He made his teammates better. And the teammates, I don't know what they thought of him off the floor, away from the game, but I think when they were playing the games, they all loved Bill Russell.
Russell loved playing for the Celtics, but he did not like the city of Boston. At first, the only black player on the team, he felt that fans revered him as a player while they denied the humanity of ordinary African Americans.
It was a northern city, but there was an undertow, a cultural undertow of racist that he must have found odious, and he kept himself apart. He acted as if he was in a foreign country, and maybe he was.
In one ugly incident in Boston, thugs broke into Russell's house and scrawled the word nigger on the walls.
And a lot of Boston people don't understand that this truly did happen. And he never mentioned it because he didn't want to let those people know that they had hurt him that much.
We saw within our unit the complete Bill Russell.
once he stepped outside of that unit, on a plane, on a train, in a hotel lobby, he would pull the shade.
Off the court, Russell refused to meet the expectations of fans and reporters. He rarely agreed to interviews, and over the years he infuriated fans by refusing to sign any autographs, ever.
One day, when I asked him to sign a picture because I wanted all of the players that I had played with to sign an autograph, and he refused. I didn't take that too well. So, hey, I can understand you not signing for everybody else. I said, but I'm different. You know, I'm a teammate. So. And he stuck to his guns. He just wouldn't sign. Real pain. He wouldn't sign. You know?
Bill Russell believed that the autograph was not worth anything. Really what the whole encounter was for a person to meet another person. And he would shake their hands. And he would spend more time talking to them, but he wouldn't give them the autograph, because by giving him the autograph, the meeting was not the meeting of two people.
Russell led the Celtics to 11 championships in 13 years. He had changed the game of basketball, and he had let everyone know that was not nearly enough.
I think the entire generation that he belonged to was more activist. The country was paying attention. This was a great theater of integration. These men were proud. They were college educated. They were extremely articulate. Bill Russell's a very articulate man. He writes very well. And they had something to say. And they were superior citizens, and they were angry.
In 1963, Medgar Evers, the man who had done so much to collect the evidence in the Emmett Till case, was murdered by a white supremacist. In a demonstration in Boston, Bill Russell turned out to make a public declaration of his outrage. Later, he went down south to protest the murder of 3 other civil rights workers. In August, he was at the forefront of Martin Luther King's March on Washington. America was still divided into black and white worlds, but now there was a difference. Both were beginning to see each other more clearly. The invisible had become visible.
I have a dream. My 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not